Hi YouTube. In this video we're going to talk about the Lyra Rembrandt Art Design high quality drawing pencils. 12 pieces. Alright. I always like talking about drawing pencils because I like to draw. And I've had this now for a couple of months sitting in the stack of to-dos, and I thought, well, today was a good time to do this one. And it says here in the back, Lyra, Germany since 1806, art design. And then it goes into some German, which I can't read. Diese Graphisteifen Sie dort. Okay, forget it. I can't speak German. And then right here it says in English, graphite pencils are of superior break resistance combined with consistent grading. The set contains a selection of 12 degrees, 6B to 4H. That's a pretty decent mix. Out of a total of 17 available degrees from 9B to 6H. The art design graphite pencils are most suitable for graphics, design, art, and architecture. And then it shows you down here what it comes with, 4H to 6B. Personally, I go from 2H, then I go to HB, B, 2B, 4B, 6B. I tend to skip the odd numbers there. But everybody has their preferences. So the next thing to do is to get it out of the plastic wrap. Handy little toothpick always works. All right. It's a metal case. I love these metal cases. When pencils come in these, instead of those plastic things, you gotta rip them and then you can't put anything back in. Those are a joke. But these are nice because you can always reuse them over and over again. And inside you have this really nice little setup here. And it shows you the different grades on a nice metal cover here. And then there's the pencils. Yeah, baby. All right, well, let's take a close look. Down here we see the 4H pencil. You can see that it is a black, I would say it's kind of a semi-matted black paint job, very smooth. Semi-hex has the rounded hex angle to it. I notice here we have the black cap end with a white stripe band in the back, so that is their markings. Every set of drawing pencils has their own unique markings so that you can actually see from a distance as to which brand you're picking up. And a close-up of the end here, and it looks like some really high quality wood there. So there's no holes poking through it like those pencils that I was doing a video on the other day. Interesting enough, the sharpener used on this seems to be more machine blade. You know, they kind of chop down like this rather than a regular pencil sharpener. You see how it just looks like someone took an X-Acto and went like this. But they all come pre-sharpened, as you can see. And so, I want you to also notice it says 4H here, but it doesn't say it anywhere else. So unfortunately, it only shows the designation of the grade on one side. And that to me is a negative. Let me show you something. For example, one of my favorite pencil sets is the Mitsubishi Hi-Uni, and if you take a look at their pencils, you'll see that the grade is written all the way around. That is class, people, because no matter how you sit the pencil down, you'll be able to quickly see what the grade is. Whereas with something like this, if you look, you can't see what the grades are unless they peek out at you from here and here. So I'd have to actually physically pick it up and turn it to see, oh, that's the pencil I want, or no, that's not the pencil I want. So I wish all these pencil manufacturers who create these drawing pencils would realize that most of us who like to draw would like to be able to see what kind of pencil we are picking up, because when we put them back in here, if we put them in out of order, we don't know which pencil we're picking up. Now here is the softest grade that it comes with, and that's the 6B. So that will be the darkest and softest, and normally it would be the thickest core too. And so if we were to compare with the hardest pencil, we can see that that is again the case. Take a look, you'll see that the 6B has got a thicker core than the 4H does. These softer pencils require a thicker core because they won't be able to stand up to the pressure of hand to paper if the core is too thin and the graphite is too soft. All right, well, enough of that. Next thing to do is to go and draw out all the different grades. And so we'll just pull out this drawing paper here. I'm going to put some paper underneath so I don't get the wood grain coming from my desk here. I have a little piece of paper here I'm going to use. So there's a white side over there. And we will start with the 4H pencil. So that should be the lightest. We'll go ahead and just draw a little square or rectangle with that. As expected, it's going to be very light and it's going to be hard. It won't be as smooth as the softer pencils. But what I look for, even with the hard pencils, is making sure it doesn't have those little chunks of clay that would cause skipping, where you end up not writing anything or drawing anything at all, but just scratching your paper, and that is undesirable.
Let me show you an example here of a pencil with very poor graphite clay mix. Notice that you're just scratching the paper, but nothing is actually writing.
So far I don't sense any of that with this pencil, so that is a good thing. But there is the 4H. And to me, the 4H is too hard of a pencil for drawing. I can get away with using a 2H pencil, such as, well, that's a 3H. We got to do that one too, but I get away with a 2H and just draw lighter. I don't need to have the pencil drawing the light, the light for me all the way to 10H, which to me would be almost invisible. What's the point? I might as well draw with a rock. But they do sell them, they do make them, and I happen to have some. That Mitsubishi, I think, has a 10H in there somewhere, though I'll never use it. All right, there's a 3H. So far, the quality seems to be very good. Now the 2H. This is what I'm saying is the hardest pencil I personally would use, is a 2H. Now some might wonder, well, why don't you just use one of the softer pencils and just apply it lightly rather than even have to use these hard pencils? Well, I'll tell you why. One really good reason is that besides you may not be able to get as light as an H pencil using one of the B pencils, the other thing too is an H pencil, you're able to draw smoother smoother textures because it gets into the fibers of the paper better. And a lot of times if I'm going to draw like baby skin or a smooth skin like from a woman's face or something, I would want to use an H pencil like a 2H first to put my base down because it will fill in all the fibers and then I won't get those little white patterns coming through the paper by using the darker pencils that you would see if you just used a darker pencil and just tried to draw light with it. You would not get as smooth as a 2H would give you, or one of the harder pencils. Oh, I better write 2H here. Okay, now so far I'm noticing there is a gradual increase in tone. So far I am happy with the quality of these pencils. I do have a couple of pencil sets and I've done videos on them that I was not happy with. And so you might say that was money wasted. Other than, you know, I was able to do a video on it, but it was still money wasted as they just sit here and I'm not going to use them. They would just be terrible for my drawings. And so I'm happy that I'm going to be able to use these because they look like they would do a wonderful job in drawing. All right, and there is an H pencil. Now I never draw with an F pencil, but I'm going to go ahead and do this for completeness to make sure I get them all. Usually with the F pencil, I may use it for sketching the drawing first before I get into shading. That's pretty much all I'll use an F pencil for. Some of you might use it for drawing too. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. We all have our own preferences, but there's an F. Works great. Now we're getting into the B's. This is the HB. So this is the entry level B, you might say, the beginning of the B, because it's half B, and I mean it's half soft, half hard. That's what the H and the B is. It's supposed to be right in the middle of the scale between the soft pencils and the hard pencils. And now I really got to start turning my pencils around because the soft pencils tend to wear down quicker. And I don't like to have a flat edge on my pencils. Alright. HB. If you can see that on the camera, you can see that real small increments of tone. It's getting darker and darker. It's like they've got their formula just right, which is a mark of a good drawing pencil company when they can do that. You get these shades where they just incrementally get darker from one to the next. I think that's awesome. You're definitely going to get a good review from me if your pencils have that quality. And here's the B pencil. Okay. So far I don't have anything negative to say about these other than, as I mentioned already, it'd be nice if they wrote the grade all the way around. Other than that, I think they look great. I think they draw great. I think their grade quality is really good. They increment correctly, in my opinion. So far this would seem like a nice pencil set to have. All right. 2B, or not 2B. 3B. You see the chords are starting to get thicker now too with this 3B. Make sure to rotate the pencil from time to time so you don't get a flat edge unless that's what you want. I try to keep a point. Alright, 3B, getting really soft here. Alright, we're almost to the end. 4B. Look how thick that core is on that pencil. It's getting thicker. Whoops. Okay, 4B. Now, I'm going to compare them with, let's say, the Mitsubishi here in a moment. But it's like it's gradually getting darker and darker each grade, which is perfect. But I would have thought I'd be darker by now by 4B. So I'm wondering if this is kind of a lighter grade type setup here, but we'll find out. We'll find out in a moment. So 5B time. It is a 5B, right? Yep. But we'll compare. We'll see. It just might be the bright sunlight coming in here that's making it look like a lighter type of 4B. See, one of the biggest reasons why I don't bother with the odd number B's, you know, like 3B and 5B and 7B, is because from 4B to 5B, I mean, it's not going to be that big of a difference. I mean, it's a small difference, but I can make that look like this by just going lighter, or I can make 6B look like this by going lighter, or I can put more pressure on 4B and make it like this. So there's no point in having to have so many different pencils. You only need 4 or 5 good ones. This is the last one, 6B. Okay, so that's about the darkest of the range here, the 6B. And the softest of the pencils. So if you look at it, going from 4H, you'll see that I'll start getting darker. So that's perfect, and that's what you want. All right, now, how does the grades compare to, say, this Mitsubishi kit here? Well, let's check it out. If I go with the 4H to start here, I'll get as close as I can to it. There's your 4H. They're pretty close. That might be slightly darker. I can't really tell in this lighting. So anyway, next, 3H. Okay, 2H, H, okay, it's starting to separate now, it seems. Yep, they definitely are separating. And I'll give you a close-up here in a second. You'll see what I'm talking about. HB. Oh, I love these pencils. B. To B. And you know, comparing it to this Mitsubishi here, the whole purpose too is that it'll give you a comparison to another drawing set. So you can, you know, pick what you really like between one or the other. 3B. Make sure you see that's 3B. Four B. That's the darkness I remember. 5B. And last but not least, the 6B. All right, that should be enough. All right, let's take a close-up look at this. See what we get. Okay, looking at the 4H's, the Mitsubishi appears to be slightly lighter, but it's very close. Then you come over to this 3H here, and then they start to line up in being similar. Same with the 2H, pretty much, is similar. But notice the separation here. The H is slightly darker with the Mitsubishi Hayuni. And then it continues to get darker. This F is darker, the HB is darker, and it gets darker and darker and darker and darker and darker. So, between 4H and 6B, the Mitsubishi has a slightly larger range. You can go from slightly lighter to slightly darker within the same number of pencils, which I happen to like because I want to be able to go as dark as possible. And of course, it goes all the way to 10 with the Mitsubishi one that I have. And it goes 10 on this end too, but I don't need anything less than this one right here, which is the 2H. And this one here though, however, like I said, very high quality. It does get darker as you go from the hards to the softs. It's in even increments too. I give this a thumbs up. This is a nice drawing kit. I'm definitely going to enjoy using it. I will use it. Of course, it will probably take me 20 years to use up all the drawing pencils I already have before I'll even get to these. But it is definitely a keeper, and I am happy with this purchase. Well, I hope you enjoyed this review. If so, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. Leave your comments below. You know I read them all and answer. And I thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.